Yeah. So welcome everyone. We'll start with the dedication of offerings in the usual way, and the 3 refuges and 5 precepts, which we'll chant in the room. And then, in case anyone's unfamiliar with what we do, I'll lead a meditation, and we'll have I'll introduce a theme which will come to me, and we'll then have questions and discussion after that, finishing at 8 o'clock. Yoso Bhagavara Samma Sambuddho, to the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment. Swakato yena Bhagavata Dhammo, to the teaching which he expounded so well. Supatipanno yassa bhagavato savaka sangho, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Dhammayam bhagavantam sadhammam sasangham, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, Imehi sakkare yataraham aropite abhipujayama. We render with offerings our rightful homage. Sadhuno bhante bhagava suchira parini buddhopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Pachima Janatanukampa Manasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime Sakkare Dukkatapanna Karabhute Atiganatu. May these simple offerings be accepted. Amhakandi Garata Hidaya Sukhaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One. Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Turn to the Three Refuges and Five Precepts, 129. 128, that's it. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. To the Buddha I go for refuge, to the Dhamma I go for refuge, to the Sangha I go for refuge. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. For the second time to the Buddha I go for refuge. For the second time to the Dhamma I go for refuge. For the second time to the Sangha I go for refuge. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. For the third time to the Buddha I go for refuge. For the third time to the Dhamma I go for refuge. For the third time to the Sangha I go for refuge. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adina Dana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Surameraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sutatinyanti, silena bhoga sampada, silena niputinyanti, tasma silam visodhaye. These are the 5 precepts. Virtue is the source of happiness. Virtue is the source of true wealth. Virtue is the source of peacefulness. Therefore let virtue be purified.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
trusting in mindfulness from the outset of our meditation. We can trust in mindfulness to find an upright posture, bringing our attention to the body in its posture, sitting. We know the posture of the Buddha. His legs are crossed and the knees are on the floor, the back straight, the shoulders are back. The chin is tucked in. It's in perfect balance, neither leaning to the left or right, not leaning too far forward, not leaning too far back. Finding that point of balance, this is the mindfulness can bring us to that point of balance. An upright and relaxed posture, which is our own Buddha posture. It's how it is for us, it's how it feels for us. Only mindfulness can bring us to that awareness, informing the posture to find its own point of balance. So we can trust in mindfulness right from the outset of our practice, rather than trying to sit in a particular way. However it is, it's good enough for us. It's the way it is. So we establish the body in the form of the Buddha sitting. Inhaling, exhaling in a natural way. When we talk about the breath, it's very easy to make it difficult, trying to be breathing a certain way, but it's the natural way. Just to notice one inhalation, one exhalation is enough. One in-breath, one out-breath. That's all we can be aware of. Nothing more than that. And we broaden our attention to encompass the whole body. Notice tightness in muscles in different parts of the body. It's okay to unclench. It can help to deliberately unclench those muscles. If you notice. Why not? Why should we hold on when we can let go? Clenching the muscles, something we're doing. We don't have to. We can bring mindfulness into those areas of the body and just give them permission to relax. Mindfulness is non-judgmental. It doesn't judge, saying it should be or shouldn't be this way. It doesn't have an opinion about whether there should be that discomfort or whether there shouldn't be, if that's what we experience. Mindfulness is simply to notice it as it is. It's not about fixing anything. It's all just fine as it is. We're training our minds to accept things rather than to fix them. Non-judgmental awareness is what mindfulness is. We don't try to calm down. We calm down naturally. Trying itself is causing restlessness. It's natural for the mind to be busy. Currency of the mind is thoughts. It loves to fill a vacuum. The difference with mindfulness is simply to observe, to notice. We don't hold an opinion. Mindfulness doesn't hold an opinion. Doesn't judge, doesn't push things away, doesn't grab hold of things. That's not what mindfulness does. Mindfulness can notice whatever arises in the mind. Mindfulness doesn't believe, it simply notices, observes. Mindfulness doesn't impose views and opinions. It observes views and opinions when they arise, knows them for what they are. If we trust in mindfulness, everything is allowed in to this field of awareness. Nothing is excluded. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Yet mindfulness is an experimentation. I like to say, let's experiment with mindfulness. See what happens. Otherwise, I'm trying to be mindful, trying to do mindfulness. Let it be an experiment. Be curious about what happens. Somebody sent me a WhatsApp message today. They'd been on the retreat that Randula and I had led over the weekend. And they asked, well, they didn't ask, they observed, made an observation about mindfulness. They sent me a link to a book. I think Ajahn Chah wrote Mindfulness, The Path to the Deathless. And I realised I hadn't talked about that. I had talked about mindfulness a lot, but I hadn't talked about what it is that it leads towards. I reflected that the past is like death. In the past, everything's died. Doesn't matter what it is. When we look at the past, it's all died. It's all dead. It's just a representation of death. Everything. There's nothing in the past that's not died. It's all died. It's about the past. Everything in the future is about birth. It hasn't happened. It's got to be born. It's going to come into existence. It's not here in the present. So we're talking about, when we're talking about the present moment, the thing that we're not talking about is the past and the present and the future. We're talking about the present. But everything that we see in the samsaric realm is about the past and the future, or everything that we conceive with the mind. In other words, everything that we can conceive is of the past and the future. The past is history. Our lives are built on history, and the history is the conditioning that we bring to the future, our hopes and dreams. Past is our broken hopes and dreams. That's the history. All the dreams that didn't come to fulfillment. Things that didn't come out as we expected them to. And the future is full of dreams and hopes and aspirations and everything that's not going to come into fruition in the future. Everything that's imagined, like in the future, we think it'll be like this, but it never is. It's never going to be how we imagine it. And the past isn't really how we imagine it was, because it died, so it's just a memory. So that's not true either. We can't rely on that. And so that's why the mind's so unreliable. We can't trust what comes up in the mind, the thoughts. Mental content. Mental content is past and future. It's based, essentially, it's fabrication. We're making it all up. We talk about the fabrications of the mind. Fabrication means it's made up. We make up the story of the past. We make up the story of the future. The past isn't true, and the future isn't true either. Somebody on the retreat asked a question. I can't remember exactly it, but in the end, when I heard the question, I told them all that you can rely upon is what's in the present moment. Everything else is unreliable. So what do we have that's in the present moment? What is available to us? What is true when we take any moment, any experience we have in the present moment? What is reliable? If we can't rely upon the fabrications of the mind, what are we left with that we can trust? So actually all we're left with is mindfulness. The only thing that we can trust is our ability to be aware of our experience. The experience itself we can't trust. We can't rely upon the content of our experience because we're making it all up. But what we can do is rely on the ability to be present and aware and awake, to know what it is. And even though we know we can't trust it, what the content is, we can know it for what it is. So when we feel anxious, we can recognize this is anxiety. That's where truth lies. When we know it for what it is. We can't solve the problem. Or, the mind will try and fix the problem in the future. We think it's a problem that has to be fixed. And the mind will go off and come up with some imagined future in which we can find a solution to this problem of anxiety. Or it might be anxious about the past. How we can stop the past repeating itself in the future and or those things might arise again. Like pain memory just keeps coming back. Oh no, it's like this again. I'm anxious again. This is who I am. When we realize it's all made up, the whole story, all that's reliable is that awareness of, oh, this is anxiety. Oh, this is anxiety. Yes, oh, here it is again. Without judging, and that anxiety is allowed to come and go. We don't build upon or add to our anxiety with our anxiety about being anxious. It's just that present moment awareness isn't anxious. Mindfulness isn't anxious. Mindfulness just is aware of, awake to, present with the state of presence, being aware of, within, in the content, not of. If you say of, it sounds like we're pushing something outside. We're going to keep it outside, and there's something here inside that's going to be aware of it. But actually, we're aware with the content. The present moment doesn't have time to push something away and know it for what it is, and then bring it back again and know. It's like that's a two-step process, isn't it? By the time we know what it is, it's history. You have to be in the moment to know it. You can't know it in the past or the future. You can only know it for the truth is only here in the present. You can only be with the present moment and be in it. So it's almost like being willing to swim in the ocean. Otherwise, we're just standing and looking at it. We never know what the ocean's like. That if you stand there looking at the ocean and you say, "Ah, hooray, this is the ocean, the great Atlantic. Here it is." But we don't know anything about the Atlantic until we step into it. Go inside. And then we know what the Atlantic Ocean is. We might even learn to swim. We think, "Oh, I'm going to drown, I'm going to drown." We don't realise that the body has a natural buoyancy when we relax. The body will float by itself, but we struggle and we sink. We don't trust in our ability just to be awake and aware. It's like we look at the Dhamma. So beautiful. It's like a new bike. It's so beautiful. We put it on the wall and admire it. Never think that a bike's for riding. We're supposed to take it out and jump on it and fall off. But we know with confidence. We have that confidence. If we have that confidence, we have the confidence to get on it again. Because we already know we can ride a bike. Even though we keep falling off, we know we can ride it. And sooner or later we realise that we can. The bike's not something to admire, something to ride. It becomes a vehicle, the truth, rather than something that we bow down to and worship. The path of mindfulness is getting on the bike and trusting in our awareness. It takes a lot. It can seem like a lot of faith, just that element of ability to trust. It can seem like a lot, but actually it's nothing. It doesn't take much. If we know that we can ride that bike, we'll just keep getting on it again. We know we can, and we'll do it. You wonder, where does that faith come from? I don't know. I can't tell you. But it comes little by little, step by step, as we walk along the path. So that willingness to trust, that's what I meant. Willingness to trust mindfulness is an experiment. It's not something to do and try to become, but simply to experiment with. An experiment is, you don't know, but you keep getting on the bike anyway and seeing what happens. That's where our confidence comes. Willingness to experiment, to try things on. So, I feel like I didn't tell you how mindfulness leads to the deathless. Well, it seems, a simile I gave to the person that sent the WhatsApp message was, when we try to be mindful, it's like trying to get an elephant through the eye of a needle. But when we let go and just trust in mindfulness, it's like the present moment becomes like a great river that we can't resist. And it takes us directly into the ocean. That's why or how mindfulness leads to the deathless. So I'll open that for discussion. Some observations and questions to me. Reflections. Susan, have you got a question? Something you would like to say?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. Talking about mindfulness, and you brought up the example of going into the ocean, and that reminded me of something which I do fairly frequently. I live in Cyprus, and the sea is very nice here. It's not the Atlantic. And I like very much in the summer to, apart from swimming, I like to float. And when you float, you really have to relax completely and look up at the blue sky and the sun. And you are absolutely in the moment. And you are in the moment for as long as you're floating. And I found it so vivid, I identify it so much with mindfulness that I actually do it in my meditation. I imagine that I am floating and looking up into the clear blue sky with the sun, and it's very, very effective. And what you said reminded me of that, and so I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So is Ajahn Mindfulness is the Path to the Deathless? There's a talk by Ajahn, but I think there's a book written by Ajahn Sumedho. I think he wrote a book with that title. I don't know if anyone remembers. Mindfulness, the Path to the Deathless. I think he actually wrote a book, yeah. Ajahn Sumedho wrote a book with that title. But Ajahn Amaro was given a talk with the same title. Yeah, I know that was what was the WhatsApp. It was the person who sent the message, sent me a link to that Ajahn Amaro's talk on the same subject. Yeah, but Ajahn Sumedho wrote a book with that name. Yeah. I haven't looked at it, didn't click on the link yet. I think it was quite a long time ago, but I think it's available on the Amaravati website. So if you're interested to listen to Ajahn Amaro's talk, well, there we are. That's the book, The Path to the Deathless. Okay. That's the book. Yes, that's the name of the book. Ajahn Sumedho's book, not mine.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still available, or maybe it's reprinted. I don't know.
I don't think I've seen it recently, but I think it would be in his compendium. There's a collection of Ajahn Sumedho's teachings. It's a bit of a hefty tome. It's not one that you would want to put in the post. But
5 or 6 volumes.
it's about 5 or 6 volumes have been brought together. It's one of them. So if you're ever at Amaravati, then look out for it. Thank you, Barbara.
It's okay. I love that book.
Tell me why.
Pardon?
Tell me why.
It was the first book by Ajahn Sumedho that I read. I found it by coincidence at Amaravati, and it just took me and led me and gave me what I needed at the time. It was just amazing how deep it is, and how simple the words are, and how easy it is to read. And it starts with what is meditation, instruction, what is the breath, anapanasati, the mantra Buddho, and so effort and relaxation. It talks about all the things that happen when you start meditation, and how bewildering it can be when you start. And he makes it normal. He says, it's fine. This is what happens. And then he goes into effort and relaxation, walking mindfully, yongrum, kindness, metta, mindfulness of the ordinary. And it's all so close to what actually happens in daily life. And then listening to thought, of course, which is another thing. Hindrances and their cessation, emptiness and form, inner vigilance. And then comes reflection, the need for wisdom in the world. And that, of course, is a huge topic, which is so needed at the moment. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's the name of the book is The Path to the Deathless. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, thank you.
Somebody was just sent a chat, I think, to ask for that. Check the name, so that's why I repeated it. Yeah.
I've just found the book on BuddhaNet. The whole book is here.
Oh, online?
On BuddhaNet, yes, the whole book.
Oh, good.
Just search the title and go to choose BuddhaNet, and it's amazing. The whole thing is here, apparently. Yeah, so.
Yeah, look, there we are. I've got a link from Anna and the Amaravati Dhamma books. You can get it from Amaravati's website.
Right.
Most of the books that are for free publication are digitalized, available online.
You can get your laptop to read them out for you.
Oh, you can get the laptop to read them for you, apparently.
Yeah,
if
you use Edge, Microsoft Edge, there is a read aloud, so you can choose where from and so on. And you can have your cup of tea, and especially if you're tired or can't read properly or whatever, it is wonderful.
Oh, Microsoft Edge, apparently.
Choose the voice, there is a selection.
Amazing what you can do these days. I don't know if people caught that online. You can get Microsoft Edge to read the book for you. Apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, they read it out to you. Sorry, they don't read it for you. They read it out to you. Yeah. One day we'll be able to get implants. We don't need the book. We'll just bring it straight into little chip straight into the brain.
Why would you want that?
Why would you want that? Unfortunately, it wouldn't convert into Dhamma until... This is the interesting thing, I must say this. It doesn't matter how much Dhamma you have, it doesn't matter what books you have, the Dhamma comes from you. It's not found in the book. You have to bring the Dhamma to it. You have to... The Dhamma's in the heart. You bring it to it. You can go to the best teacher in the world and you get nothing if you don't bring your own insights, your own Dhamma, your own ability to reflect.
And if we want to use the metaphor of the bicycle on the wall, you can get someone to describe it for you and say, how wonderful, But, as you said, the bicycle is flying, and so is the Dhamma. And even though, it is beautiful, it seems to be simple, in actual fact, the effort of letting go, moment after moment, so that you can float, is unbelievable. Meaning, the instinct to appropriate and push away is phenomenal. And there is that kind of effort which is constant.
Yeah. But in a way, it's an effortless effort. It's because it's that effort it's the effort to not follow the grasping mind, which is that doing. I'm going to do this, I'm going to get that. So that's why I said that mindfulness is not something we do or try to be or become mindful, because then we miss the point. We put mindfulness, we create a self here that's observing the world out there. We've got that duality that is the way, is the samsaric way that we're meant to be using mindfulness to relinquish. But we bring it into our mindfulness practice, and it's a doing thing and hard work. We make mindfulness into hard work, but the here and now, as if you listen to Ajahn Sumedho or read his book or all the time, any podcast you can get hold of, he'll tell you it's already here. Mindfulness is now. It's not something you have to go and get. It's happening now. By the time you go and get it, it's already, it's happened. If you think of mindfulness as, I'm going to try to become mindful of this, then the thing that this thing, it's already history. Or it's a something in the future. I'm going to become mindful of my breath as though this breath's not good enough. It's got to be the next breath, hasn't it? What breath am I going to become mindful of if it's not already here?
But if, like me, you have lots of stories going on at the moment, it's very hard to be mindful. And the only way I can do it is I've got to be mindful. Otherwise, I'm on so many stories and I've kind of travelled miles in like half a minute. So what you're saying is you can't do it, but I don't see any other way of doing it.
Doing what?
Yeah.
Being mindful. Being mindful.
Having the determination for what you're saying.
Yes.
So
Yes.
putting in that thought, so okay, I'm doing this now. So we're using direction.
Yes.
But
But that's still an effort, isn't it? I find it very effortful. Because if I don't do it, if I don't think, right, breathe in, count your breath, I'm all over the place. Been in so many stories. That's what was happening today.
I think one of the best pieces of advice I ever had, I think it was really helpful, was the first weekend retreat I did in Birmingham Buddhist Vihara. It was a Burmese tradition. Long time ago, Venerable Rota Dhamma, long since died, at the end said, have you got any questions? And I said, well, my mind's all over the place. What can I do? He said, so you noticed that then? That's mindfulness. I'm sorry.
Well, yes, but then the minute you notice it, you're off somewhere else.
But then you notice that.
Oh, I know, because it's tiresome.
It's tiresome.
Because you have some level of concentration of
So,
samadhi.
yeah. But then it's helpful to think, you might think, I'll use the breath in order to, but I think it's one of the best pieces of advice I heard around, I think Sumeda probably, saying, all you need to do is notice one breath at a time. That's why I said that. We can think that noticing the breath is something, what is it if it's not noticing this breath? Otherwise we think, I've got to notice the breath for 10 minutes or something. That's weird. Why would you think that? That's not mindfulness, is it? That's desire. You can notice the desire to notice the breath in the future, but why would you? We can only be mindful in the present. We only need to notice that one inhalation, this one now.
And
that's
the
all
next
it
time
is.
you're in the story.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's only the present moment, and that's all you need to be aware of. And the present moment is this inhalation now. So it's the only way you can practice mindfulness of breathing is to practice awareness of this breath. There's nothing else, because none of it, everything else is made up. The only real breath is the one that's happening now. That's it. So in that, when you think that way, this one inhalation is enough. You don't need to worry about any others. You don't need to worry about how long, whether or not I was mindful of the last inhalation, or whether I will be mindful of the next inhalation, because this one is all you've got. You don't even know if there will be another one. Make the most of what you've got. It's now. That's the present. That's all we have. That's the only reality there is.
Oh, could I say something again, please, Martin? Well, talking about that, it reminds me. I find that very helpful to come to grips with the idea of emptiness, because everything else is empty. Basically, the past and the future, there's no substance to them, and the only thing that's actually real is this very present moment, one breath at a time, as you said. And that when I was trying to understand emptiness, that was very helpful to me. Just wanted to share that, because it kind of it means a lot what you say. It makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I can say something there. What helped to me along those lines is how long is the present? It is already past. It is already in the future. The present itself is empty. And Mariana too. And so, to me, the helpful attitude for me is the constant letting go, rather than trying to achieve anything. The constant letting go, because awareness, as you say, is already there. And so it is a fancy type of effort. It is the effort of letting go. It will last as long as that kind of impulse to appropriate is still there, and it is a deep one.
The effort, that's why it's so interesting, the effort, because it's just enough. Now, wherever you are, it might seem like what you need is quite a lot, but actually it can get in the way. All we need is just enough effort. Too much effort, trying too hard is a common difficulty. Having just enough. Don't try too hard. It's now is not that hard. When we start trying too hard, we worry about next. We live in a world of next. Our whole world's made up of next. We don't realise we're doing it. It's such a habit. Now is now. And it takes a little bit of effort, if you say, to just reorientate the mind. This is now. That's next. I'm making it up. This is now. It's like an unlearning. We have learnt so much to live in the past and the future that it's like unlearning. You're not trying to it's not like you have to learn something new. You just have to let go, as you say, of what we've thought, or everything that we've been told so far, if you like, that life's about believing in the past and the future. But isn't really. That's not living at all. That's the fabrications of the mind.
And also the want of it, that comes from something is lacking, that kind of want which keeps getting me to grasp at things.
Yeah, if we think mindfulness is going to be the answer to all of our problems, we've already grasped. We're away from being present in the moment. It's not. That's why I said stress. It's not about finding a problem to fix. Because it's the end of problems. It's understanding our obsession to find a problem to fix. That's the way of the mind recognizing the problem of the past and trying to fix it in the future. Life becomes very much simpler if you just to be present with, then letting things reveal their own truth. I mean, we don't have to tell the world what its truth. It reveals itself to us. It tells us when the mind's clear, the truth comes to us. So that's something which I found very helpful. I realized this isn't a path of trying to become wise. It's a path of wisdom being revealed. It's the truth's already there, and it's like the clouds part. Oh, of course. The sun was always there, but it was hidden. I've got a few chats. I'll have a quick look at them, running out of time. Oh, there's the links and things in chat. Thank you. So, thank you very much. I think it's time to bring our evening to a close. I was told off earlier for coming to an end of things too abruptly. I said,
You do a question to an end.
I said, well, it's come to an end, it's finished. So turn off, don't you? You press the off button. But apparently, that's not the way to do it. Apparently, I'm supposed to summarise everything I've said in about 3 words. Mindfulness is the path to the deathless. That's good enough. So, do the closing homage. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. Sakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you for the people that came to the room. Thank you for the people that joined online.